Welcome to video 29 titled, The Spirit, from the Father, Given Through the Son. This video is part of the Genesis to Paul Foundation series, where we clarify how gift and reception belong to God's own life. In the last video, we took a careful step into Trinitarian theology. We saw that the Son is from the Father without inequality, that eternal origin establishes order without domination, and that relational distinction in God does not depend on hierarchy or authority. But the Trinitarian picture is not complete without the Holy Spirit. And in many ways the Spirit is where everything becomes clear, or where everything collapses. Because if reception is treated as subordination, then the Spirit will always appear secondary. But if reception belongs to God's own life, then everything changes. Christian theology confesses that the Spirit is from the Father and given through the Son. Again, this language is not optional. It is creedal. It is carefully chosen. The Spirit is not created. The Spirit is not an impersonal force. The Spirit is fully divine. And yet, the Spirit is spoken of in terms of procession, gift, and reception. That combination unsettles modern instincts, because we are used to thinking that to receive is to be dependent, and that dependence must imply inferiority. But Trinitarian theology refuses that conclusion. Let's be clear about what procession means. Procession does not describe rank. It does not describe authority. It does not describe sequence in time. It describes relation of origin. Just as the Son is eternally from the Father by generation, the Spirit is eternally from the Father by procession. Different relations, same divinity, same glory. The Spirit is not less God because the Spirit proceeds. The Spirit is not less active because the Spirit is given. The Spirit is fully God in the act of being received. This is where many hierarchies quietly smuggle themselves into theology. They assume that activity belongs to the giver, and receptivity belongs to the subordinate. But that assumption cannot survive Trinitarian confession, because in God, reception is not weakness. The Spirit receives eternally and is eternally glorious. The Spirit is not passive. The Spirit is not silent. The Spirit is the one who gives life, and yet that life is received. This tells us something profound. In God, to receive is not to lack. To receive is to participate. The Spirit receives the fullness of divine life and communicates it outward, to the Son, to the Church, to creation. Reception is not passivity. It is active participation in relation. This completes the Trinitarian grammar. The Father is unoriginate source. The Son is eternally from the Father. The Spirit proceeds from the Father and is given through the Son. There is order, there is direction, there is distinction, but there is no domination, no hierarchy of being, no inequality of glory, and crucially, no point at which reception becomes subordination. This matters enormously for everything we have been saying, because it shows that origin does not imply authority. Reception does not imply inferiority. Order does not require hierarchy. Those assumptions fail not only in human relationships, but in God Himself. Let's state the conclusion carefully. This video is not saying human relationships should mirror the Trinity. It is saying The Trinity shows that relational life itself is structured by gift and reception, not power. That is a foundational clarification, because it means that when Paul speaks of giving and receiving, of love and response, of glory flowing relationally, he is not inventing a fragile ethical vision. Instead, he is reasoning from the deepest reality Christians confess. This also explains why Paul is so careful with power language, why he avoids turning origin into authority, why he refuses to reduce submission to obedience, why he speaks instead of love, honor, glory, and gift. These are not sentimental categories. They are theological ones. They belong to the life of God. So with the Spirit, the Trinitarian picture becomes complete. Order without domination, relation without hierarchy, reception without subordination, not as an ideal, not as a human aspiration, but as divine reality. In the next video, we will return from Trinity to humanity. We will look again at image and glory, and we will ask why Paul cares so deeply about what is visible, about how relational truth is displayed in worship and in embodied life. Thank you for watching.